Hi everybody, I am back with the next chapter of Zoey and Sassafras. I apologize, it is days later than I said it would be. Have you been having a busy few days too? Man, time has been so busy for me. Yeah, anyways, so when we left off, Zoey was trying to find some solutions. She was trying to think about, well, okay, she knows that salt acts as a preservative. She found that out when she was making Play-Doh once. And she was trying to think what else could be preservatives that we would have around the house. Her mom said she would give her some ideas if Zoey thought for a little while and didn't come up with anything. But Zoey wanted to see, well, what could she figure out on her own? So, chapter 8, the preservative hunt. Preservatives, where are you, preservatives? I muttered as I walked around the kitchen. I decided to start by looking on our counters. I saw some cooking oil we'd had forever and checked the ingredient list. The only ingredient listed was cooking oil. Maybe that was a preservative. I set it aside to check with my mom. Next, I picked up a can of beans we'd had for at least a year. Beans, water, and salt. Another vote for salt as a great preservative. A jar of pickles from our garden caught my eye. We'd made them ourselves at the end of last summer, so those were pretty old too. Oh, and Mom had said that pickling the cucumbers would preserve them. I closed my eyes and tried to remember what we added. Tiny cucumbers. They were so cute. Then we poured something over them. My nose wrinkled from the memory of the smell. Do you ever have memories of smells like that where it's like you can almost smell it in that moment? It was vinegar. I really don't like the smell of vinegar, which is funny because I actually use it a lot. I love playing with baking soda and vinegar. I never get tired of watching them foam and bubble when they mix. I used to make horrible faces while I played until my mom invented an awesome trick. She adds a few drops of peppermint extract to each cup of vinegar she gives me. When I make my pretend volcanoes erupt, it smells like candy canes are floating through the air. That's Zoey checking out the pickles. Sassafras interrupted my thoughts with a meow and pawed at the fridge. Great idea. I'll check the fridge next. I grabbed the vinegar and set it next to the oil. I opened the fridge and poked around. Milk, eggs, butter, all had only one ingredient, like the cooking oil. But unlike the oil, we kept them in the fridge, so maybe they didn't prevent mold on their own. I was pretty sure the cold from the fridge was keeping them from spoiling. Then my hand landed on some raspberry jelly. That was interesting. I'd been working on eating this giant jar of jelly for weeks now, and it was still good. It was in the fridge, but we also kept fresh raspberries in the fridge, and black mold spots started growing on them after a few days, which meant there might be something special in the jelly to keep it from molding. I took it out and read the ingredients. Raspberries, water, sugar. Sugar? Maybe. I set the jelly on the counter next to my other guesses. You might be thinking about how Zoey's doing this. You may be thinking about your own kitchen and what kinds of items you might come up with from your kitchen, thinking, could this have a preservative in it? It's really interesting to see how she's thinking about it like a scientist. I looked through the pantry next, but all the crackers and cereals I found only listed strange sounding ingredients at the end. Those were probably the chemicals made in factories my mom had talked about. I couldn't even read some of their names. They sounded like another language. Let's see. Sassafras checking out a spread of items with preservatives or potential preservatives so far. I smiled down at Sassafras, who had decided to sit on my right foot. Any other ideas? Sassafras seemed to think for a minute and then left the kitchen. I followed. He ended up hopping into my mom's lap and purring. I guess that meant he was all out of ideas, too. Mom looked up and smiled. Do you have some guesses for me? I nodded. We found a bunch of stuff that uses salt. That's a popular preservative. Our guesses are oil, vinegar, and maybe sugar? Mom grinned. Great work. Those are all preservatives. I think they'd all be great to test. Are you ready to finish setting up your experiment? Just remember to change only one thing and... I know, I interrupted, and keep everything else the same. I will, Mom. And that is the end of chapter 8. I'm not going to read chapter 9 today because it is a longer one and Theo's nap time is just about over. But I will try to not let so many days go by before I read you chapter 9, the moldy fur experiment. Oh, I'm so curious how Zoe's going to finish setting up the experiment. What's going to happen when she tries out the different preservatives on, remember she has those baggies of Gorp's fur all set up and ready to test. Be interesting. You might make some predictions. Do you think anything will work better or worse to solve Gorp's mold problem? Are there any of those preservatives that you're like, man, I hope that's not the winner because that would not be nice to put all over Gorp's fur? I don't know. It's very interesting. All right, I will see you all soon with another chapter from Zoey and Sassafras, Monsters and Mold.